All right, a quorum being present, we'll call the meeting to order on Tuesday the 19th at 6:11 p.m. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, I'll recognize Mrs. Boyd, who will introduce the superintendent's scholars.
My favorite time of the year.
Before I do that, how about a round of applause for the great music we just got?
Awesome. So yes, tonight is the night you get to meet the two superintendent scholars. So first, we're going to ask Grace St. Laurent and family, if they choose. And I'll introduce you all. Grace has a GPA of 5.0. She's a vice president of National Honor Society and heads their tutoring program. She is a 3-season athlete, captain of varsity soccer, lacrosse team, as well as running indoor track. She's a peer leader and volunteer for our Relay for Life. Grace is an AP Scholar with Distinction, a National Merit Scholarship winner, and received Honor Award for National Community Services, which includes volunteering at the Community Food Collaborative and establishing the Little Free Library in Wales. Grace's proudest non-academic accomplishment is that she backpacked 100 miles over 8 days in the Maine wilderness. She plans to major in biomedical engineering or molecular cellular biology, and has cast a wide net for colleges, hoping to have a number of acceptance to choose from soon. Grace's favorite quote is, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right," by Henry Ford. Congratulations. And we have Ethan Corinder. Also, come on up with family. Ethan has a GPA of 4.97. He is student council class rep, peer leader, and National Honor Society tutor. He is captain of the varsity swim team and on the varsity track and field team. He's a Central Mass High School swim all-star. Ethan has been on the high honor roll every year and won the Harvard Book Award. Ethan's proudest non-academic accomplishment was the work he did to clean and improve the Sturbridge trails. He too plans to major in biomedical engineering and has applied to a number of colleges, including UMass and WPI, and now awaits what we all expect will be a number of acceptances. Ethan's favorite quote is, "The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it." By Michael. Thank you for coming. You're welcome to get snacks and stay, or not. We know you have things going on.
No pictures? No pictures?
Where's the principal? That is his job. No. Ethan and Grace. Let's do one now. Right?
Pictures.
Should have known. Exactly. Exactly. If you haven't noticed our guest visitor from past graduate, Jake, love seeing him back from break, on break. Alrighty.
All right, first item for consideration is approval of the minutes from the November 29th, 2023 regular session. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mrs. Randall. Do I hear a second? Second. Second by Ms. Gillen. Any edits? Seeing none. Are there any objections? By unanimous consent, motion carries. Any abstentions for the record? Just Mary. Yeah. All right, that brings us to our financial report. Mrs. Leo.
We are moving along through the year with revenues beginning to catch up a little bit over last month. Nothing really out of the ordinary at this time. Let me just get to my let's see. We've got a couple of line items that are a little bit higher than budgeted, and we're just monitoring those, specifically the junior high long-term substitute. And then we expect that the school choice expenses are also a little bit higher at the junior high. We are in full conversation for our budgets. One final review for the tech program will be happening this week. And then the rest of the schools have already been done. That meeting is January 27th. And then ESSER funding will be done as of June 30th. Any other questions?
And I think budget folks, we meet the 27th, so we should be in line with doing what we've kind of done in the past, is give you your binders at the January meeting, which is the 16th.
You normally give them to us for Christmas present.
I don't give them to you that long. I have not in a long time.
No,
I do say
Merry Christmas.
I have not.
We're outvoted on that one.
I have not had Tantasqua budgets ready before Christmas in a few years. So,
We have lawn millions.
well.
Or you can blame it on the new person.
No, it was long ago. It was long ago. And it also, it actually happened when we used to meet 1 week at a time and do one school 1 week and the next, then it would have been the first one. But we'll get it to you in
That's
plenty of
all
time.
right.
I'm with you, Sheila.
Yeah, thank you.
Fine. High maintenance.
Also under financial business, we saw a nice OPEB return last month in our
Thank goodness.
in our investment account. So we're well over $1 million now in our OPEB investments, and we monitor that and meet with our financial consultants a couple of times a year and make any adjustments to our portfolio as necessary. And I think the decisions we made the last couple of years have been good ones. So just a quick update on that. Brings us to staff reports. Mr. Sturgis.
So there's a number of things going on in the junior high as we close out the 2023. A couple of new things that are highlighted in my report, but just wanted to cover is our Peer Connections is a new club, new group. We actually have to have kind of not a cuts, but we had so many kids interested, and the ADL could only offer the training for up to 40 kids. So we had a significant amount of kids who wanted to be part of this. Focused on primarily 7th graders, so by the time the training is done, which just finished, we'd have these kids trained for a year and a half, I guess, to then train the next incoming group of kids to keep it going. Similar to the Peer Connections program that's already in place at the high school. The whole idea is to improve our kind of equity and feeling of inclusion in the building based on whatever biases that are out there. So the kids had a 5-day training with the ADL in our building, and so I got to see them do their final kind of showcases. They're doing group projects that they are going to eventually lead instructions in our advisory blocks throughout the rest of the year. So we have a couple of extended advisories where the students will lead kind of instructions based on the training they had with. We have 2 staff members who are there working with them. So that's one big new item. We did nominate and select our Project 351 students for the year. That is one of those things that when the students come in my office and I try to be secretive so it surprises them. These kids are never in trouble, so they're panicking while they're in there, and it's almost always my mistake where on my whiteboard it says to do Project 351, and they all figure it out in the minute while they're waiting for all 5 of them to get there. Olivia Fisk from Brimfield, Mason Julian from Brookfield, Ever Temple from Holland, Violet Spooner from Sturbridge, and Hannah Whittier from Wales. 5 unbelievable kids. There's in the list of things that they contribute, a lot of contributions to their local softball programs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, long list of things. All of them are involved in our school on some level, in different student councils, NJHS. So this is not necessarily an award about academic success, but kind of overall great kids. And all 5 of them happen to also be excel in academics as well. So it's a win-win. They're very excited for their launch date, which is in January at the State House. And then I wanted to shout out Zach Brigham. I just confirmed with Mark, I wasn't sure, I'm getting old now, he's a junior or senior. He is actually a senior here at the vocational high school who is going for his Eagle Scout, and his project for Eagle Scout was to build the benches at our softball and baseball field, which he has completed. They look awesome. He put plaques on them, so they're in place at the junior high fields, and so good luck. I wish him good luck as he finishes his project. Then there's the final couple fun things. We had a Warrior Day of Service with our student council from both sides of the street. I'm sure I don't want to say too much because I have a feeling that's going to come up in the student reports. We had a number of our junior high students join there as well, and make blankets. Special shout out, and I'm talking a lot, I know, but we have a lot going on. Our guidance department and our nursing office, we've given out another round of gifts for families in need, and another basket of food and produce items, a ton donated by family, staff, and so we were able to give kids another round of Tantasqua gear to some of our families that probably couldn't grab those kinds of items. So we were able to give a lot of things for donation to our community of people who definitely can use it. There's definitely a lot of appreciation as the families come in and grab boxes of food items. Some big donations came in from the owner, the family who owns Big Bunny and McNucks in Sturbridge. So a lot of big donations came in from those two places, same family, and so a lot of support. So appreciate their help with our school. And we had a door decorating contest today. I'm stealing something from my my upcoming January report, where we decorated doors in holiday spirit, not necessarily Christmas spirit, holiday spirit, and it was actually one of the more active days we've had. A lot of people in good spirits today at the junior high. So can't say that every day, but that was a good day today. And then if anyone's wondering, those yonder pouches, they're going pretty good. The kids have given up on fighting. And those who are there's some that are trying to beat the system every day, which is the fun part of our job, but for the most part, kids come in, put them in their pouches, and you just go to class. And they're talking to each other again, and they're not walking down the halls texting or sneaking it in their pocket. It's great. And we don't have kids getting dismissed because they text their parent from class saying, I don't feel well, because they can't do that. So,
And it's a nice history lesson, life before cell phones.
it's, yes.
We all need those pouches on occasion.
I take them home for my kids. Just kidding.
Also, a big thank you to Mrs. Delisle. I know 20 years as the head of the drama club and stepping down, but it looks like you found a backfill.
We did. They actually had auditions today. Mrs. Belisle, she can't walk away though. She did help with auditions today. So we did pass the torch to one of our instructional assistants, Mr. Brian LaRochelle. He's also our in-house DJ as well. He's took over the drama club, and we're looking forward to this year's performance.
That's great. Any questions for Mr. Sturgis? Thank you, Mr. Sturgis. Mr. Wood?
I'll be brief. Just in the report, I promised you that I would give you some numbers on the craft fair, and you see it was over $12,000. It's a huge event. It is also a huge undertaking. It was in November, and Mr. Orlick has already started to get everything organized for next year. So I give a lot of credit to Mr. Orlick and to Mr. Bernard for being able to put that together. I want you to know the Cornerstone is open tomorrow and Thursday. If you don't get there on those days, that you won't be able to get there till next year. And I just want to highlight some outside projects. So I love when I can get out of the building and to go to where the projects are. So the seniors are working on a really interesting addition on Dowdy Road, and it's tying together 3 different roof lines, which until I saw it, I didn't realize how complicated it was. And the coolest part is when you talk to the kids, and I say, you got to explain to me what you're doing, and it's amazing. But the best part of this visit was as I'm walking back to my car, I hear a soft voice, Mr. Wood, Mr. Wood. And I don't know where it's coming from. It's the homeowner. And he's coming over to thank me for picking his project, which it wasn't me, it was the teachers, and there's a whole rubric we go through on that. But he was so complimentary of the students and the work they've done. And it was really fun because I talked to one of the students who said, the wife is here all the time. She's retired, and she bakes a lot. Out all the time. And on one of those really cold days, she brought us all cocoa. So it's just so great when you see what you're working in the community and what our kids are doing, but it's also that it's appreciated by the people with whom they're working. Likewise, I was able to get to the state police barracks, and our junior carpentry kids are working between there and the horse farm. I don't remember if you remember last year, with the dwarf horses, they built the doors so the horses could actually see over the doors. They're working with them again on some other projects. So on the good days for weather-wise, they're working there, and on the less good days, let's say yesterday, they were working at the state police barracks, and that's redesigning a room, and they built 27 lockers of wood, not buying ones in gym, and it's beautiful craftsmanship. And again, when you go there, the state police are so appreciative. And the last one I want to highlight is, I went on the job site, it was the senior electrical, one of the senior electrical groups, and it was Mr. Mansfield, and it was at Brookfield Town Hall. And they are installing the radio station at Brookfield, so it's taking what was there and really just ramping up everything. Again, it's the great conversation with a kid when you say, well, what is that? What are you doing that for? And how does that, and they can explain everything. And I always say I have the best job in the world because I can think back when that kid was a freshman, and at some point you said, I don't know if they're going to be able to handle this. And now you look at them and they're so professional in the job site, and they're so totally engaged in what they're doing. And again, I just want to highlight the kids and the work that they do.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Questions for Mr. Wood? Awesome. No, they did a nice job in the Wales Highway Department, too. Good work. Dr. Dufresne?
Thank you. Our highlight of the month, this month, at Tantasqua was our math department. A lot of conversations with the math department. They're a very reflective group, easy to work with. They had 3 goals this year. I'd just like to highlight one of them in particular, which is adjusting our geometry curricula to add in a unit on transformations. I am a data-driven person, and we spent a lot of time earlier in the year working on sort of our data sets from MCAS, our historical data sets, and we realized that while our students did very well, that we struggled a little bit on transformations. Those things give our students some difficulty. So they took it upon themselves to add in a unit and change around some things so that we should see a different result come spring. Also noted some drops in some scores for some of our subgroups, and that's always concerning. Tantasqua does very well on our standardized assessments, but sometimes our subgroups struggle. So looking at some historical data there and ways that we can support. Had a great conversation the other day, and I am working on with Ms. Carboni on creating a class that can catch up some of our students who are struggling in that area. And a course that we're introducing in the second term, that I'm particularly excited about, and should it work after some tweaks, I'm sure, I'd like to become part of the regular curriculum, is a financial literacy class. The things that we teach our students, some of them are terrific, and some of them are not as useful as they move through the world of adult life, and a course that teaches them money management, budgeting, macroeconomics and microeconomics, borrowing. How many of us got out of high school and got a credit card immediately and had a great time with it, and we didn't realize the penalty that we were putting ourselves in, the self-imposed penalty. A couple other announcements: Computer Science 2 and 3 continue to participate in the American Computer Science League, and did absolutely outstanding in our first 2 competitions. Working on some scheduling so that we can be a little stronger later in the year. The block scheduling does have some weaknesses there. You can see our AP testing results. I won't bore you with them, although if you're like me, they don't bore you, but I can tell you that part of page 3 of your packet, you can look at % of students earning a passing score. I'll cut right to the end. I'll give you the spoiler: 100% of them got a passing score, so we're pretty proud of that. We had a pretty interesting math event in Halloween. I know when most of us think of Halloween, we think math. The math department came up with actually a really fun event for both students and faculty, and snuck math in as well. So there was a learning opportunity there. We had a ball. I didn't win, so I won't go too deep into it. Really proud of our student council, which you saw as you walked in. I talk about them all the time. I don't know that we are aware of how special a group they are. 20% of our school belongs to the student council. I told you at our last meeting that they hosted a regional leadership conference with over 450 delegates, and in between that time, they donated a tree to the Festival of Giving Trees and partnered with the National Honor Society on their food drive. They collected and donated 237 pounds of food. So we're pretty proud of them. A lot going on at the high school. Our band had a pretty good month as well. We had, I think, 8 students be accepted into the Massachusetts Music Educators Association Central District Senior Band. It's a mouthful. We're awfully proud of them, and as our group continues to grow and thrive, we expect more of those. Winter sports season off and running. We had, as you can see in your packet, we had a lot of Fall League All-Stars, and we're really proud of all those student athletes. They did great. And so just as a final note, one of the things that the Student Council does is a culture and climate survey. And so I asked Ms. Lavelle if we could embed 4 questions into her survey. If surveys are too long, we all know what that looks like. Right? Has anyone actually watched a 10-minute YouTube video? No, you watched part of it. No one takes the entire survey if it's too long. So I didn't want to overburden them, but we did embed the administration 4 questions into the survey and into 2 domains. And the domains were school culture and administrative response. And I won't bore you with the entire survey, but we had some results that we're pleased with at the start of the year. Always things we can work on, but in terms of school culture, on a scale from poor to great, 93% of students were at 3 or above on a Likert scale of 1 to 5, and so we were pleased with that. And in terms of engagement with the building, 88.1% of the students who participated in the survey, just under 400, I think, felt engaged with the school. So there's still some meat left on the bone, right? We always want that to be at 100. But our administrative response questions also were in the 98.5 and the 93 percentile in terms of did you feel like, did you have an interaction with an administrator, and did you feel like they solved your problems? So we'll do this again in the spring and see how we're doing, and see if those numbers continue to grow or fall back, or if we can get them a little closer to triple digits. So that's my report, and thank you.
I'll tell you, you've warmed my heart with your comments around the financial literacy gap and the need to have a program put in place centered on that. I just spoke a couple of weeks ago to a group of college new hires. Most of them didn't know how a 401k worked, but what it was at all. And so we've got, and these are college graduates, not high school graduates, so I think starting to establish more foundational knowledge on financial literacy is brilliant. I personally look forward to supporting you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's one thing to be able to conjugate a verb, it's another to be able to know how your mortgage works, and I think maybe we could do both.
I think we'd have a lot of fewer issues around some of these college debts if folks understood how interest rates worked and what they were signing up for. So, great job. Any other questions for Dr. Dufresne? All right, thank you. We'll bring us to our committee reports. First up, our students. Luke and Samantha, good evening.
I'm going to report for health careers first. It's just all the tech shops that's going on in all of them. So the seniors for clinical for health careers have been working at Clearwater and the Common to get their CNA licensing, which we have to wear N95 masks right now because of all the COVID and strep outbreaks going on. We have to COVID test daily every time we go there, which we go there 3 times a week. And we just had to recently get strep tested too. We're getting gifts for all the senior citizens inside of the nursing homes. Getting about 50 gifts for our combined funding through all the students and all the teachers there. Skills labs for grades 10 and 11 are improving patient-centered care to improve because it's always room to improve. daily testing and quizzing for all of our grades. And our seniors are in the last week of nursing, which is this week, is their last week there. And we're going over to Harrington Hospital. CAD department, their sophomores nearing completion of their OSHA certifications. The seniors are creating Rubik's Cube Goldberg machines incorporating 6 simple machines. And the seniors are also now advancing towards their technical drafting certifications. Carpentry, which Mr. Wood hit on very well. And it was just basically everything that Mr. Wood was talking about with the new building, plus they're making a new 4-foot by 12-foot deck on the same house. Electrical, also Mr. Wood hit a very good head on the nail for it. A few other things I found out in it is they're installing new LED lights through Tantasqua, which I think they hit in here, right? I think so. The layout and design and replacement of lighting packages for the Wales Highway and Fire Department. They're troubleshooting the overhead lightings at the Tantasqua Auditorium. They're wiring 2 cameras in the back of the junior high. They're repairing the Univent motor in the Wales Elementary School. And they're finishing rough wires of 2 walls in the State Police Barracks in Sturbridge. On a hospitality, both culinary arts and hospitality management sophomores have recently obtained their OSHA 10 certifications and are currently focused on developing comprehensive safety plans. The juniors and seniors are actively involved in operating the Cornerstone Cafe for lunch service, which you should go to sometime this week. Additionally, they're organizing a buffet for central office later this week too. Culinary, Tantasqua Culinary Arts will be supplying the Sturbridge Senior Center with brunch items for their open house this Friday. Culinary department will be supplying a takeout buffet twice a month to the Senior Center this year until a new edition of the center is completed. For business tech, all the sophomores passed general industry OSHA and have resumed the work that test out certifications for Microsoft Office. The juniors are accounting and financing, and their seniors are also marketing for the school store and seniors. And machine shop, the seniors went on a field trip to pre-medals. They said it went very well. The machine shop seniors have also been making keychains for the junior high school.
Thank you, Luke. And I know you weren't with us last month, and I think we mentioned this to a few folks, but great job kicking that field goal at the Thanksgiving game. And after Sunday, the Patriots might need to take you on waivers. Samantha?
So last meeting, I talked about a lot of things that we were looking forward to, and so I'm just going to kind of give you the updates on how those things turned out. So student council was, as Mr. Sturgis kind of started talking about, was the Warrior Day of Service, where we worked with the junior high as well as National Honor Society and the Cancer Kids First Club that we have here. And I'm happy to report that it was a huge success. We made 26 no-sew blankets, and half of those went to the a women's shelter, and half went to a veterans shelter. We made 189 felt heart sets for the NICUs in the NICU in Boston. So one of the hearts the parents wear, and for the babies in the ventilators, or not the ventilators, what is the word I'm looking for? The incubators. That way they switch the hearts and the babies have the scent of the parents for when they're out of the incubators, they know who their parents are by scent. And then we made 100 blessing bags for that also went to veterans shelters, and 62 dog toys that we donated to the Second Chance Animal Shelter. And then we made bracelets for with Cancer Kids First Club that we brought to children battling cancer. So overall, it was a great day. It's one of my favorite student council projects or days of service that we do, because there's music, we bring donuts, and everyone just has a really good time. Just like kicking off the holidays season, doing something great for our community, just hanging out with our friends. Also, student council and National Honor Society and our student body as a whole made 420 cards for the Brookfield Rotary Club to deliver to seniors in our community. We accomplished this by making them during advisory, also during the Warrior Day of Service, and I just hosted some after school one Thursday, and student council made some during our full board meetings. I also mentioned last meeting that we held a toy drive. We were able to get toys to 30 children. So 30 children from Brookfield, Sturbridge, and Holland will have toys to open for the holidays. So that was really good for us to do and give back to our community. Yeah, so our students have given back a lot to our community. So for this last week before break, we are kind of giving back to them a little bit, and we're just kind of doing a nice spirit week this week and doing some nice little activities. One day we're gonna do hot cocoa in the morning. We're gonna give them little ducks, like rubber ducks. Those are coming. Luke, Grace, Ethan, don't tell anyone, those are secrets. So yeah, but that's basically it. Our students are just really excited to, for break. I think we're really excited, but that's kind of it for this month, I think.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Luke. Questions for our student representatives? Any questions for us? All right, thank you. We'll move to budget. Mrs. Noyes-Miller.
No meeting, and as Kristen said, we'll be meeting January 27th.
All right, takes us to technical.
No meeting. Nothing said.
Curriculum, we have a submitted report.
So we met on Monday, December 11th. Mr. Sturgis provided some more feedback on the implementation of the magnetic pouches for student cell phones. Just to add to what he already spoke about, aside from day one, he said there were no significant delays because students are dispersed to the magnet stations, and we have had less than 10 pouches damaged so far, so pretty good, durable. We did not receive the Digital Literacy Now grant, but will continue to apply for digital literacy and computer science funding in an effort to bridge the coding gap between the elementary project Lead the Way and high school. For scholarship process and timelines, so our Director of Guidance, Julie Donovan, joined us and provided an overview of the process and the timeline. The committee requested that a list of all available scholarships be posted on the school's website under college and career planning. That was something that we had done in the past and I don't think happened last year. And then we would also like guidance to share the total scholarships awarded, including the count and the dollar amount, just to kind of see what that entails. For scheduling and program of studies changes, Dr. Dufresne presented the scheduling matrix and the program of study changes. The new course proposal is submitted by curriculum supervisors via Google form, where he's not entertaining major changes this year, mostly because he's new to the role and wants to respect the work that's been done previously. He spoke about adds in 3 areas, so foreign language, including CPA French 4 and CPA Spanish 4, IT and computer science, and then for science, CP Anatomy and AP Environmental Science. And last year, 96% of our students got their preferred schedule. So knowing the amount of work that goes into that, I think that's pretty impressive. And then he also stated that our program of studies is fairly voluminous. I loved that term. We never remove courses, but we can archive them as needed. That's it. And our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 12th at 6 p.m. And the topic for discussion will be student handbook revisions.
Any questions for Ms. Cunningham? Megan, was there discussion about the potential scale out of that cell phone program in the high school?
Just a brief mention, but that's pretty much it.
Question out of the grenade right away, huh?
Success immediately means
She has-
scale and go.
Yep.
And they're going to be used to it here. You may as well get it prepared when they go over there.
Well, I
The other
mean,
way around this.
Even my
anyone who can think it through can know that the conversation's probably gonna happen, but there's certainly a contingency that thinks, no, it could never. I'll never say never.
That's right.
I have a quick question. Do the guidance counselors have a curriculum that they follow? Like, do they implement a program for the whole school, or is it something that...
Do you want to take that?
From a counseling
Yeah,
point of
like-
view?
Like the master model?
So there is a mass model of guidance curriculum, and that is something that has not been implemented in here to my knowledge. If you would, jump in here if I go wrong.
There have, very minimally, there's points where the counselors go out into the classrooms, but not as robust as it would be in that model, just because of time constraints trying to schedule 1,200 kids. And
It is something we've been looking at for the last year or two, so.
So our counselors do go out, but to say that we have a full implementation, the mass model guidance curriculum would be inaccurate.
I also I thought it was worth mentioning on a curriculum point of view, just to make sure everyone knows, French is back. We struggled last year, the whole year. We have a full-time French teacher, which, full disclosure, I was a little worried. It was the only way we could get a French teacher, which makes sense, is to advertise for full-time while we tried for the .67 that we had for a few years. We did fill the full-time. We thought it was important enough to get French back in and not virtual. And as luck would have it, or fate, Mr. Sturgis says the initial request next year for incoming 7th graders is definitely got a significant uptick on French. So on we go.
Great. All right, we'll move to bylaw and policy. Mrs. Fitzgerald.
One relatively quick item. You'll recall last month we came before you with some recommendations for amendments to the bylaws, and we did in fact vote on those amendments. Following that meeting, it came to our attention that there were 2 additional amendments that are necessary. Specifically, if you look at Article 6, page 3 of the bylaws, Section 1. Our current bylaws mandate that each of our subcommittees have a minimum of 5 members. And historically, that just is not always possible. And in fact, we frequently will have a subcommittee that has 4 members. Excuse me. So it is our recommendation that we take out the mandate of the word shall and substitute the words will strive, so that the sentence reads, each subcommittee will strive to have a minimum of 5 members. That does not in any way impact the budget subcommittee, which will continue to have a minimum of 5 members, drawn 1 each from each of our 5-member towns. And page 7, excuse me, the standing rules of the committee, number 4. Forgive me if I don't think we covered this last month. I think this is the second one. We're simply, in keeping with what we've done throughout all of our policies, taking out specific titles and substituting the more generic definition of the person who's handling a certain function, so we're not tied to a title. In this case, titles change, and we don't want to have to change the bylaws every time a title changes. So you'll see that we're moving to strike Associate Superintendent of Business and Finance and substituting the term school business official with respect to warrant viewing and availability. And that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. All right, we will bring that proposal forward for consideration. Recommendation of the bylaw and policy subcommittee. Is there any discussion? I noticed one thing after I said something to you last week, and I just saw it this time, but I don't think it's, we can chat about it. I don't think it's
Okay.
critical.
Well, you could have been right now and voted as
Well-
a second
We
reading
can
if
do
it's
it.
just a
It's
housekeeping.
just at the very end on page 3. The chairman shall make the appointments of subcommittees before the August regular meeting of the committee. We have historically been circulated that in September.
It was circulated in September.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
Do you make the appointment in August?
just don't communicate it.
Yes.
So the appointment's made, it's just not communicated.
It's done, just no one
So
knows.
technically,
This language meets that definition.
There we go.
force me to communicate it, right?
Right,
Okay,
you
so
make the appointment in
I'm
August.
fine with that.
Before the August regular meeting.
So for a month, I know and no one else does.
Oh, good. I mean, there are years occasionally that we do have the August
Been a long
meeting.
time.
It has been.
Okay, very good.
Can you put them in a sealed envelope next year? Just make sure you don't change anything up in
I can also just begin to email.
This is true,
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
All right, any other discussion?
Second reading.
So this is second reading?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there any objection to approval on second reading? Seeing and hearing none by unanimous consent, so approved on second reading.
And we missed the window for new. There were a few new policies, but we couldn't quite get them all updated and out, which is fine. It'll show up on January's. And the bylaw meeting is a little bit later anyway in January, so you won't even have a double batch.
It's our Christmas present to you.
There you go. There you go.
Very nice. Looking forward to the New Year surprise.
Exactly.
All right, negotiations, Mrs. Randall.
We did have an IBB training last Monday, the 11th, with our units and school committee members and administration. It went very well.
Certainly did.
Yep.
We have a couple of trainees here with us tonight.
Thank you.
And we start formal training February, I'm sorry, negotiation, February 2nd, with Unit A. Unit B is also up this year, so we'll work on them a little bit later in the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, building and physical plan.
We're meeting on the 16th, right before our January meeting.
Great.
At 5:30, I believe.
Oh, yeah. So we'll stop at 5:50.
Yes.
Or 5:25.
We're going to need to use the restroom, I
Okay.
guarantee it.
All right, 5:24. No.
I can jump in.
All right, that brings us to communications. You have a note in here that annually goes out to our finance committees regarding the budget and asking for budget liaisons from the selected boards of selectmen and finance committee. We also have a safe and supportive schools grant to vote acceptance
Yeah,
of.
so yeah, the memo is typical, and elementary kick off their budget season on the 3rd of January, as soon as we get back. I did give you a copy of the Safe and Supported Schools grant. This is one of those that Tantasqua is the fiscal agent, but it is a shared grant, so it'll be representatives on subcommittees. Colleen DeBari will, I believe actually already has put together a committee, correct? And we're just looking for you to vote. The very last page shows, we did, second to last page, shows, we're on the 10,000 award to Tantasqua, and shows you a few others that received it. So we're just looking for a vote to accept that grant.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the Safe and Supportive Schools grant in the sum of $10,000 for Tantasqua Regional and Union 61 school districts. Motion been made by Mrs. Randall, second by Mr. Dunn. Any discussion, questions? Any objection to the acceptance of the grant? Seeing none, by unanimous consent, the grant is accepted.
And then the last item is an FYI. These are, we're audited annually. We did finally receive our final reports. Anyone who wants to see hard copies, they're here. It's the financial statements, the management letter, and we have to have a federal one done because of our federal grants.
What are the top couple takeaways?
Yeah, the financials are exactly in line with what we submitted in September, which is interesting. It's interesting because the state specifically doesn't want audited financial statements to do the E&D calculation, which is fascinating to me because I would say the audited statements are more reliable than the ones the accountant puts together and sends in, but we have to submit it all by September 30th, and it is dead on with what the audited statements were with the E&D certification. So all good?
Very good.
All good. Anyone who has a desire to look at them can, or if you let me know, I can get an electronic version to you.
And when they do this audit, this is for all school districts?
No, this is only
This is just
Tantasqua.
Tantasqua.
Each town has their own obligation to be audited. Some, depending on the size of the town, is annually or every 2 to 3 years. Tantasqua is annually because it's a regional school district.
Okay, so central office participates in terms of providing documentation, but doesn't lead the audit for those schools?
Correct, yeah, it's got to be an outside CPA firm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That is it for communications.
Yeah, it's your report.
And then I roll in, there has been a whole lot. We've only been 3 weeks since we've been here last, so it hasn't been a quiet 3 weeks, as you've heard. There's been a whole lot going on. It hasn't been a quiet 3 weeks weather-wise. We've had a couple of humdingers. We survived despite all of the campaigns from the seniors to have not wanted school today. I'm so sorry. So our school buildings actually fared pretty well, which I'm really surprised because across the district, it wasn't until I got home last night realized how many outages there were, but we made out okay. Tantasqua buildings made out fine. Elementaries have a number of roof issues, so there was certainly some leaking. I did have, for those who don't know, Wales Elementary School lost power at 10:30 yesterday morning. So we waited 20 minutes to hear whether it was just an issue at the school or the town. Made the decision to dismiss at 12 because we could feed them, and 15 minutes after the message went out, the power came back on. We still rolled and sent them. It was a lose-lose situation, so they got out early. But other than that, we're moving along. Budget season will start soon. And just FYI, there's been a lot of chatter over the last month or two at the state level of current state revenues coming in lower than anticipated at the beginning of the year. So there's just kind of whispering about potential 9C cuts and folks starting to gear up for the battle if there are needs for 9C cuts. Historically, if there are 9C cuts, Chapter 70 is protected legally, and it's usually regional transportation that people get nervous about. So I've got the letters ready to send to the legislators if a 9C cut actually happens, to say, don't mess with regional transportation. But the last time it was talked about, legislators, I think, realized it's really almost the same as Chapter 70 money when you talk about setting a budget based on a certain amount and not getting it, we can't get it back. So I'll keep you posted if that turns in. Hopefully, we've had a very busy December Massachusetts revenue month. That's it.
Any questions for Mrs. Boyd? All right, we've already taken care of unfinished business. We have no new business. We'll move to public access. No? You good? Ready for the holiday?
Ready for the vacation.
I think Jake should give us a student report for his first semester.
How was it at UMass?
Jake, how's UMass?
Become a degenerate.
Haggerty's gonna be pissed with that.
Jake has actually been substituting this week at the junior high.
No way.
Yep. Yep.
That's fabulous.
That's great.
Yep.
It's great to see you. And everybody knows Tracy Carboni, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yes.
I have nothing. I hope everybody has a
fabulous holiday.
You
You as well.
too.
You too.
As well. Open forum. Anything anyone would like to bring forward? All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mrs. Cunningham.
Second.
Second, I heard you first. Second by Mrs. Alden. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Everybody's aye.
Have a wonderful holiday. I hope
Happy
you
holidays.
have a nice break.
Take K-Street home.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.